This is Pastor Jeff Chavis. I'm the pastor of Church Online. We're an online community of faith, and you can find us at churchonline.com. We spell that uniquely, though. We spell it C-H-R-C-H, because we say all that's missing is you. churchonline.com. This morning, I'm thinking about a lesson from baseball. If you listen to Battleground regularly, and you've heard me before, chances are good I've spoken about baseball in the past because I am a baseball fan. But I'm watching a game the other night, well, it was the other afternoon, and they said something remarkable that I never really considered before. This is a moment, it's a really intense moment. There are people on base. The opposing team's best hitter is about to come up to bat. And there's a rookie pitcher. It's his first year. The coach, the pitching coach, walks out to the mound and has a talk with this young pitcher. And they asked, one of the announcers was a retired pitcher, and they asked him, well, what do you think he's saying? What do you want to tell a guy? Do you tell him what not to do, what to do? And this retired pitcher said something that, again, I never considered before. He said, you never tell him what you don't want him to do. You don't walk up to that young pitcher and go, whatever you do, do not throw an inside fastball. Instead, you tell him what you do want him to do. Okay, the next one needs to be your outside curve. Then the one after that needs to be this. And you never say what not to do, because as soon as you say it, he's going to throw it. Inside fastball where you don't want him to throw it. And it just made me really think about our minds and the way our minds are wired. And yes, I believe that this is an absolutely biblical principle. Filling our mind with the wrong thing is just going to naturally lead us into the wrong thing. One of the great passages, and maybe you've heard this one before, Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. But the larger context of that one is Proverbs 23, 6 and 7. It says, do not eat the bread of a miser, nor desire his delicacies. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. In other words, the context of that is a negative one. Don't desire what a miser has. A person who has a lot of money. Again, think Ebenezer Scrooge during Christmas time. The miser is the individual who has all of this money, but is not generous. In the Bible, the writer of Proverbs is saying, don't think that way. Because if we start thinking that way, we're going to be in the wrong place. Our minds are going to the wrong thing. Another way to think about it is this passage from Philippians chapter 4. We may have heard this one before, and in computer language they use this term GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. In other words, if in terms of computer programming, if you put negative stuff in, you're going to get negative stuff out. Well, that seems to be what we're talking about in terms of our own minds. That's why the Apostle Paul gives us this incredible piece. This is from Philippians chapter 4, 8 through 10. Again, you may have heard this one many times, but thinking about it like this, what are we thinking about? What are our brains dwelling on? And in Philippians 4, starting verse 8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any moral excellence, and if there is anything praiseworthy, dwell on these things. And what you have learned and received and heard from me and seen in me, the God of peace will be with you. That's the garbage in, garbage out mentality. If we put in negative things, again, like that young pitcher, if I got my mind set, don't throw the fastball, don't throw the fastball. First thing I'm going to do, first thing out of my hands, is going to be the fastball, whether I want it to or not. So, as the Apostle Paul is encouraging us, let's think on the good things, the positive things, the true, honorable, pure, lovely, commendable things. And that little word also, whatever is true, it's a constant thing. It's a continual thing. It's not just oh, I think about some good things. For example, we start our morning and we have our morning quiet time and our morning devotional time. We read some scripture, we put in some positive stuff, but that's not the end of the story. I don't start my day in devotional, in the scripture, and then jump into my car and start listening to negative things. Or I go to work and I start talking to my coworkers about negative things. Instead, it's a constant and continual thing. And again, reviewing the list, it says, whatever is true, not a lie. Whatever is honorable, that's the opposite of dishonorable. Whatever is pure, the opposite is what is impure. Whatever is lovely, and you'd say the opposite of lovely, you'd say ugly. Whatever is ugly, don't think about those things. Whatever is commendable, if anything is moral excellence, if anything is praiseworthy, these are the things we should continually be thinking about, not putting in the garbage into our minds. Now, again, for many of us, maybe we'd say, well, no, I'm doing a pretty good job of putting those things in. But then I would caution you, what are the discussions that I have daily? What are some of the things I'm talking about, again, with my coworkers, with my friends? Do those things have a tendency to go negative? I know we're in this season now of politics, and there's a real easy chance for us to just have these conversations go in a negative way. But what does that do with my mind? Think of the things that I'm sharing online. What are the posts that I'm clicking on? What are the posts that I'm sharing? What do I listen to on the radio? What books do I read? What television do I watch? Does it fall into this category that Paul is saying of the true and the honorable and the pure and the lovely and the commendable and the morally excellent things, the praiseworthy things? If it's not, then it should be no wonder in our minds if we're getting out negative things. For example, I've worked a lot with addicts in the past, and I know that one of the things that can be a real challenge is to get that thought process out of their minds. When something negative happens, they turn to the addiction. Even though their minds are continually saying, I can't do this again, I can't go down that road again. And of course, that's the first thing that happens. This is an example, exactly what the pitching coach was thinking of. I can't go there, so I'm not even going to mention that. So the same thing with us. What are you thinking? What's in your mind? What are you saying to yourself today? All of those things need to come into that category of being excellent and praiseworthy and pure and lovely. What are we thinking about